Hello, and welcome to For Book's Sake. I am Heather Roberts.
I am Veronica Adams, and together we are 1852 Media.
Yes, and we are having technical issues this morning.
It's always something
It's
around
always
here.
something. We record on Fridays. I know
Yes.
that it drops on Fridays as well. But yeah, so it's always the end of the week. We're a little punchy by the time we get to
Yes.
start recording.
Yes, totally.
But yeah. So, welcome back for another fantastic episode of Veronica and I just chatting about the industry, the publishing industry, that is.
Yes.
And today we're going to be talking about what does it all cost? If you are an indie author or you are an aspiring indie author,
Or you're a trad trying to go
or you're
hybrid for the first time.
what does it cost? What should you be expecting when you are jumping into this? And I should say, costs have risen quite a bit over the past several years.
They certainly have.
Inflation has definitely hit the publishing industry in a big way, and it costs way more to produce a book now than it did in 2018, 2019. And you can cut costs in different ways, and so we can dive into some of that. So let's start talking about it. I guess the first thing that you're going to have to look at is an editor.
Yeah. Although I have seen some books where the editing was skipped or it was done in-house by the author, who obviously was emotionally invested in the story that was written rather than the quality of the final product that was published. It happens.
You can skip this part. You shouldn't skip this part.
If you're going to spend money on anything,
you spend it on an editor.
Editing, yes.
A good editor.
Yes.
A proof. Now you can then move on to proofreading and pay someone for proofreading and all of that. But you can also find people who are willing to proofread for you in exchange for a gift card, or potentially even do it for free just for a copy of a book.
You have a street team, an art team, beta readers. Some of them may be skilled enough to proof for you after the editing is complete as well.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, I know some authors who have ARC teams who essentially use that as proofers. Because they have people on the team.
Feedback during the ARC read process and incorporate that into the final edits.
So it depends how you set it up, but you definitely need a developmental editor.
Yes.
And you need somebody who is going to enhance your voice, not try to replace your voice. That's the biggest thing there. You don't want somebody who is trying to insert themselves into your title.
I would also recommend a copy editor if you can get both of those things done at the same time or in the same place by the same person or the same team of people. Well worth it. You're going to spend some money on this for sure.
Absolutely.
But a high quality final product will
makes a difference
over time.
Yes, absolutely. So you want that editor. So what does a good editor cost? I mean, it can cost anywhere from several $100s on the very cheap end, depending upon length of book, to several $1,000s.
Right.
For I'm talking about like an average size novel. I would say the average is probably a couple grand.
Easily.
So if you're seeing those prices and you have a little bit of a sticker shock, I understand, but also they are doing really quality work for you.
They should be anyway.
They should be. That's why it's very vital that you find somebody who is good at what they do. Take recommendations from other authors, look and see who they've worked with.
You can always take a chance on someone new, but that is
Absolutely.
a gamble.
It's
an
a chance.
Absolute gamble. And the pricing should reflect that risk that you're taking, because you may have to go behind this person and hire someone with a lot of experience whose rates are going to be considerably higher, or should be considerably higher based on their experience and the quality of their work.
Right. So absolutely.
Keep that in mind when you're bargain shopping and budgeting.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely can look for cheap, but with editing, generally you're going to get what you pay for.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. So once you have the book edited and you're good there, now you want to move on to what a lot of people call the fun stuff, right? Like the cover. You got to find the cover. So, covers can be created in a variety of different ways, okay? So, you can go as simple as paying a cover artist. Well, you can go as simple as purchasing a pre-made cover for your book.
Girl, you can go as simple as getting a free subscription to Canva and trying
Well,
to make your own cover.
you can, but that I'm talking about like professional like level. Yes, you
Oh,
can make your
are
own
we giving
cover.
professional advice here?
I've I've seen people make their own
My
covers in
bad.
Canva. Some people are adept at skills like that and some people aren't.
Well, and also I feel like some people who come to indie publishing specifically are DIYers. I mean, obviously,
Yes.
you've written your own book and you're going to publish it yourself. Why wouldn't you DIY any or everything else along the way if you can figure out how to do it? I
Yeah.
really appreciate that spirit, but I've seen some pretty bad covers turned out as a result of it. So,
I have. Yeah. I've seen some good covers too.
no,
So
for sure. For
just
sure.
because, yeah, it varies. It varies greatly. You have to know your own skill set. Know if that's something that you can do. Look at the other covers in the genre in which you are planning to release this book
Yes.
in and be like, can I do something like that? Does the thing that I made fit into this? Or is it a which this one is not like the others?
Right.
Like which one doesn't belong?
And also, if you have trusted people around you,
Yeah.
spouses, partners, friends, parents, siblings, street team members, beta readers, people that you trust, ask them
Right.
and be willing to accept some critical feedback.
Yeah. And be okay with that. So, and okay, so if you've tried your hand at a Canva cover
Yes.
or whatever online design tool
Yes.
cover,
There are multiple out there.
and you've decided that that is not your jam, that is not something that you want to do yourself, you can go and purchase a pre-made cover, which a lot of cover designers have on their website. Pre-made covers for pretty cheap, like $125.
Yep.
Sometimes they run sales
Yep.
and you can grab one for like 75 or $50.
It depends on what you need. If you're
Yeah.
going to have print copies and an audiobook, you need a cover specifically for those two formats.
Yes.
So the image needs to be resized. Sometimes those pre-mades include that. Sometimes you pay extra to get those particular versions of the image resized. But yeah, 100, 150, somewhere in that range to start for a
Yep.
pre-made. I have seen some pre-made packages approach 500 in that range.
Yes. But those
But
are
it
usually
really depends on what it is.
right. I was gonna say if you're doing a fantasy pre-made where there's been a lot of work done on that cover,
Yeah,
it's going to be at the higher end.
for
It's going to
sure.
be 500 probably for a pre-made of that because fantasy covers just are not easy to do. There are
No.
so many layers that are required from the design
Mhm.
standpoint. It's not something I've made a lot of covers. I don't make fantasy covers. I don't have that level of skill set.
Right.
It's not my forte. It's not
I
something I can
spend a
do.
little time in Photoshop. I don't spend a lot of time in Photoshop.
Right.
And you really do need some excellent Photoshop skills
Yes.
to
That is
nail a fantasy or romantasy cover.
absolutely to make it have that
And
soft feel and
yeah,
make it all feel real and
even some paranormal covers too.
yeah. When you start moving into sort of that science fiction,
Mhm.
fantasy, paranormal
Yeah, when you get out of
world,
the contemporary lane and you're starting to move to
yeah,
those, for sure.
your covers are going to get more expensive
Yeah.
because they would just require more work, more manipulation.
Mhm.
So don't be surprised if you're writing a romantasy and you go to get a pre-made cover and it's not
Right.
$125. It's probably
Right.
not going to be.
Your mileage may vary on this, but
Yes.
I mean, with that in mind, if you're going to shell out several $100s for a pre-made because you're writing in one of these genres that requires a much more detailed and layered image, you can
Mhm.
also look into commissioning a custom cover too. Something that
Yes.
is specific to you and that you will always only have the rights to.
Right. And so that's the thing. With a pre-made cover,
Mhm.
they're using stock imagery,
Yep,
right? Now with a custom cover, they very well may be using stock imagery,
for
but this
sure.
design is made specifically for you.
Mhm.
So no one else is going to have it. It's just your design.
Yep.
those covers, when you're going to for a custom cover, I think the average contemporary romance ebook only cover is around 250 now,
Yeah.
with the paperback full wrap included and all that, somewhere around the 350 400 range.
That sounds very close to me for sure.
Yeah, somewhere in there, depending upon your designer, right?
Mhm.
So don't be surprised if you see those numbers. Now,
Right.
romantasy or anything more detailed and intricate that you're wanting, those prices are going to be.
There's more time involved. There are more elements involved in the design. You're going to pay more for them.
Or if your designer has a very good reputation in the
Mhm.
industry and has a very, doesn't have a lot of slots open,
Right.
and they're likely going to be charging at the higher end 750,
Yes.
something like that.
The more experienced and more in demand a designer is, the more you're going to pay to work with them.
Right. So I think about some of the designers in the industry who really are top notch, and yeah, they are, but you're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for
For
the
sure.
privilege to work with them.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. You're paying for their experience and skill in what they do.
Yeah.
So just understand that if you're going into it of what you're going to pay for that.
Yeah.
One thing I will say is how do you know if you're being scammed, right? Well, if the person I had a client who paid, $750 for a science fiction cover, which is fine, right? Like the price
Yeah.
is not like it's not terrible.
It sounds a little high to me, but
It's
like
a
for
little high.
everything included, I don't see a problem with it. For ebook,
It's
full
yeah,
wrap
ebook
print,
and full
and
wrap.
audio.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
ebook and full wrap.
Okay.
So fine. Okay. The problem was, well, one, this designer sent the client the Amazon link to pull their own cover template for paperback. No. If you are paying someone $750, a cover artist, they should be able to pull their own templates to make the proper paperback size. Full stop. Full stop. You, as the author, should not be pulling any
Yeah, no,
templates,
never.
period, ever, for that. Now, you have to tell them how many book pages, it
Right,
is.
right.
Do you want cream print? Do you want
You gotta
cream
give
or
them
white
right.
pages? Like, what?
You get the ISBN, like, there are all sorts of things you gotta set up for that, but
But pulling the template is not one of them. So I
yeah.
was very put off by that. And then this designer also drug their feet to the extent that we missed our entire release window that we were planning to release this. It was a collection. We were planning to release the collection. All because the designer didn't have the cover ready and we couldn't release it. And I imagined that the ebook cover was ready and I begged for the ebook cover and that wouldn't be released until the paperback was done. It was this whole thing, even though the author had already paid. This is not a person I would choose to work with again in the
0
industry.
stars.
Yeah, I mean the design, fine. I'm not begrudging the design work.
But the
It's
level
the
of
other
professionalism is
stuff.
just completely lacking.
Correct. It's the other stuff, and the author hired me to help facilitate. I mean, we were hired. I was asked to come in and help facilitate the end of this to wrap this up because the author felt that they weren't getting anywhere.
Oh my god.
So I went in and said, "Hey, the author has hired me to help deal with this.
Right.
What do you need? Let me get you what you need, et cetera, et cetera." And then the designer kept taking me off responses and would only respond to the author
Red flag.
directly.
Red flag.
Yeah, major red flag. So I had to send a message to the designer and say, please stop taking me off your replies to the author because I have been hired for this specific purpose. The author does not have the bandwidth to deal with this right now for whatever reason. That's not the designer's business. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the author and this
It
relationship.
was highly unprofessional. I
It's
cannot tell you how many times I have been included in a cover design email thread for one reason or another. And never have I had a designer among the folks who are relatively well known and have established reputations for being professional in the industry. Never have I had a communication issue like that.
no,
Never.
it's just wild. So if you find yourself in a position, and this author was like, is this normal? Because this author does not have a lot of experience, which
Right.
is why I was hired.
Right.
And I'm like, no, this is not normal. This is a big red flag.
Mm-hmm.
We no, this is terrible.
Yeah.
So if you're in that situation, you're wondering, is this normal? And you're finding these sort of red flag feelings,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably, you trust your gut. It's not
Yep.
normal. It's not normal. Everything should be very professional, above board. There should be timelines laid out.
Yep.
Oftentimes the designers themselves ask for the timeline, like, when do you need that, like, when is this going to happen by, because they want to make sure that you have what you need before you
Sure.
need it.
And they also need to be able to fit in your project in their current book of business and make sure
Right.
that they can deliver by your due date. The majority of them don't want to end up getting some sort of bad press or review for failing to meet your deadlines because you guys didn't discuss them in detail up front. It's just a
Exactly.
standard part of what they do is to make sure that they can deliver because they may not take the job if they can't fit you in based
Exactly.
on when you need your cover.
So, just things to think about if
Yep.
you are searching for a cover artist.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, okay. So, there's another level to covers.
Yes. Oh, here we go.
So, you can go extra, extra, and you can
Yes.
get, well, there's a couple different levels. So, you can purchase an exclusive image for your cover.
Yes.
And I have many clients that do that. I'm
It's a
sure
very popular
it's a
thing to
very
do.
popular thing to do. There's plenty of photographers in the industry who sell exclusive images for the purpose of putting them on your book
Yes.
cover. And you can purchase one of them. To purchase one of those images, the image itself is going to be maybe $900,
At least.
700
At
to
least
a
probably
thousand.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the prices have gone up,
Yeah.
for sure. So I'd say probably budget around $900 to $1,000 for that image. And some, depending upon, just like in any other industry, depending upon who the photographer is, the image could be more expensive than that. Then you also then have to pay the cover designer as well to use that image in the cover. So now we're looking at, let's say you got a great deal for a full wrap in ebook at $500, and you have $1,000 cover photo going in. So now it's a $1,500 cover that you have. Now you have to get the book formatted. Well, I should say we have another layer of the cover thing if we really wanted to go super extra. You can pay a photographer to host their own photo shoot
Yes.
for
You
your
can have a
book
custom
cover.
shoot done with the models you want
Yeah.
specifically for you. You're going to pay a modeling fee in addition to the photographer's rate. Plus, you're going to buy the license for the photo. Like it gets super
It's going to be
expensive at
several
that level.
$1,000s at that
And
point. You
and
might pay
something
for travel,
right,
Yeah.
absolutely, depending on how it all goes, unless there's like an event coming up where everybody's going to be together and you can get something set up during
Right.
that time. Generally speaking, you're probably going to have to cover those costs too. And then there is the custom illustration too.
Oh,
If you are
yes. Oh,
someone who is
yes.
looking to do not photography or still life or anything like that, or an object cover, but you want an illustration, which has become very popular in the last handful of years, you're going to shell out probably $1,000 or more for custom illustration, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Well, especially hand drawn. If it's not
Yes.
vectors, if it's
Right.
not manipulation of vectors and
Right.
we're talking hand drawn, yeah, easily. Which is why a lot of, people are like, "Oh, well, I want to do all of these special editions, hard
Mhm.
covers and custom
Yeah.
covers." Like, that's great, but like, this is not a cheap proposition. You have to make sure that you're going to be able to make it on the back end to be able to do these custom covers that you want to do. I know some authors are doing custom covers just for certain book signings now,
Yes. Yes.
which is wonderful, but also expensive. So, things to think about. I know you want to do all the things as an author, but sometimes you have to pick and choose when you're, just entering the industry. If you don't have
Sure.
a big capital bankroll behind you. But yeah, so now moving on to formatting. Now
Yes.
now we're formatting this
Yes.
book.
We have theoretically written the book. It has been edited, hopefully professionally. It now has
Yes.
a suitable cover for its genre that is within budget. You need
Mhm.
to format that manuscript so that it is ready to be read on whatever device it finds itself on, or
Yes.
printed appropriately by whatever printer you're going with.
Right. So, like all the other things, there's options here.
For sure.
And you can do very simple ebook and paperback formatting. I think Amazon, if you upload it to Kindle, they can like sort of format it for you if you do a Word document. I do not recommend doing that. Your formatting is going to come out wonky. It's going to be wonky. Just straight up. It's free, so it's going to be wonky.
You get
So
what you pay for.
you get what you pay for. You can pay somebody to do your formatting for you, very simple ebook and paperback formatting. That's going to run you it depends on how many formats you want it in,
Yeah.
right? So if you want it in ebook, hardback, and paperback, am I missing anything? I
Large print,
could
maybe.
large print, something like, yeah. If 3 to 4 formats or 2 to 3 formats, it can run you 350, 300, somewhere around there. Very average cost of that. Now, you can also get fancy and you can start inputting images in chapter headers.
Yes. You can make your book look really pretty, even
Yeah,
in ebook, with different glyphs and custom images and headers and footers and
all sorts of
scene
stuff.
breaks and all kinds of things.
And in the paperback, especially, you can put, images behind chapters,
Yeah,
and you can do a lot of, you can do image header titles there
totally.
and really make things beautiful in the paperback as well. That's going to run you a lot more
For sure.
because, people are having to do more manipulation with your book in order to get it to be what you want it to be.
Well, and
So,
in the software programs that are available for this, it is considerable more trouble and will take a lot more time to fancy up the formatting than
yes,
to just do a very basic, clean look.
right. Now, you yourself, this is something I actually recommend. If you are planning to make this a career,
Yeah,
you need to purchase vellum.
sure.
Excuse me. You should learn how to format books and you should own that. Now, if you want to farm out and outsource the print formatting to make them pretty and fancy, that's fine. But to make ebooks, you should have the ability to make all of your own ebook formatting. I firmly believe this because you need to keep updating them. You can't just do an ebook format once and be like, I'm done forever. You need to keep updating that back matter with the new books that you write, with maybe an updated bonus epilogue, maybe your newsletter link has changed, new social media stuff,
Yep.
all the things.
New
Maybe
bio.
maybe you want to lead it to a new book
Yep.
because you're having a book bub on this other book that links and you want to update the back matter for this prior book. You need access to be able to make those edits
Yes.
to your back matter, period. Otherwise, you're going to be
Great
paying
point.
somebody
Every time you need a
every
change.
time. Yeah,
And for marketing purposes, there will be a lot of instances, just like Heather listed off, where you strategically need to change or update what's going on in that back matter.
right. So buying vellum, I'm not sure the current price of vellum. I think
Yeah.
it's around $200. Price has probably gone up. I don't know. Perhaps you could do a quick Google search, but it's going to be several $100s. We'll call it that. You can only run Vellum on Mac OS. So
Yes.
there's that. But I do know people who have been able to, on the PC, run Vellum through there's a workaround for PC users. So you can still run Vellum. It's just
Interesting.
yeah, there's a workaround.
Like a tech partition or something. Weird.
Something.
Yeah. Vellum for ebook only is $200.
Okay.
And Vellum Press that includes the ability to do paperbacks is $250.
Very reasonable. That price, let me just tell you, that is very reasonable because that price is not raised. in many years, and they probably could raise it, and they're not. So kudos to you, Vellum, for that. I highly recommend Vellum. There are other programs as well. I just think that Vellum is the prettiest and the easiest user
Yeah.
interface to work with. There's what, Atticus.
Yes.
There's
Which I've heard mixed things about. But then again, I hear mixed things about Vellum too, based on somebody's
sure,
tech savvy.
yeah,
If you're a Windows user like I am, getting Vellum and learning the Mac environment could be a pain in your neck.
absolutely,
Still going to be worth it though.
yeah. I mean, to be able to have access to all of your books and just
Yes.
easily create that ARC copy, you know when it's done,
Mhm.
you can create your own ARCs. You don't have to rely on anyone else.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful for that. So, anyway, highly recommend that. So, now you have your book formatted. Where are we at on like cost tally wise for average book? I would
Woo, good
say,
lord. Are we
I
doing an
know.
average here?
I think we should do like an average.
Okay. So we're gonna pay a couple thousand for good quality editing. So let's just say 2 grand there by the time we're
Yeah.
edited and proofread and ready to publish
Let's
a
just do
manuscript.
a stock photo.
Okay. So we're doing like a $200, $250 cover with stock and ebook and paperback.
Yeah, I would say, well, let's bump it up to like 350
Okay.
for,
So we're
right.
$2,400.
Okay, $2,400. Now you formatted, let's say,
2,750.
yeah, 2,750. So you're already like almost 3 grand into this book,
Yep.
and you haven't even released it yet.
Yep.
So at least the book part is done, right?
Yeah.
Now you have to start thinking about marketing and advertising.
Yes.
You have to start thinking about the price point of your book. What are you going to charge for this thing? So it's a lot more choices, right?
Yes.
And you can continue going down different paths, and you have to find what's best for you. I would say marketing wise, you can do a lot of your own marketing, just like all these other things. You can do a lot of this stuff
Yeah,
yourself. The
for sure.
question is whether you have the bandwidth or the ability or the
Mhm.
skill set or the time or, all of those things to
Yes.
do it, to
Yes.
learn how to do it. It's like anything else. It's like if your sink breaks in your house, can you fix it yourself? Yeah, I could. Do I know how to?
Right.
Not really. I could watch a YouTube video and probably figure it out if it took, time wise, it took me long enough. Or I could just pay some guy to come in who knows how to do it and fix it and pay him several $100s and buy. You know, it's the same thing in this industry, just like any other industry. I know, terrible analogy, but
Well, right, but so you have to learn how to fix the sink. You have to take the time out to watch the tutorial, to go to the store for the parts you need. And then, of
right.
course, there's the impact that not having your sink is going to have on your day to day life. Like, are you going to be able to prep meals and wash dishes and do all of the things that your family needs you to do with a functional sink that isn't functioning while you're doing all the work that's required to fix it? I mean,
Yeah. It's
it's a
actually
cost benefit analysis. For some people,
correct.
the self help route, learning to do it themselves, is absolutely the way to go. And for other people, it makes more sense to delegate it.
Yeah. So you have to decide what you want that to be.
Yeah.
And marketing wise, let's say this is your first ever book, you have to be understanding that this book is probably not going to break even.
Yeah.
You're not going to be breaking even till probably several books in. If that, like maybe 5,
Yeah.
because it really requires you to, unless you have some breakout success, which is always possible,
For sure.
but it it requires a lot of effort to get your name out there, to get readers to come into you, to take a chance on you, which is why KU is so popular,
Yeah.
because the reader investment is
Minimal.
low. It's
Yeah.
very low.
Right.
And so that's why they're willing to try new authors in KU. So if you are a brand new author, that's something that you want to think about. If you're a more established, say, trad author, looking to go hybrid, you have a brand name, you have followers already, you have readers. So you don't have to worry about that level of
Yes.
investment. You're probably going to make your money back very quickly, and you're going to be very excited because you're going to be making more money um, than you ever have on a book
Right.
if you're previously only been trad. So You have to think about those things with that. But marketing wise, you can pay for marketing. Obviously, that's what Veronica and I
That's
do.
what we do.
That's what we do. And we help clients walk through all of these steps as well. Figure out what is best for their brand. What can you afford right now? What can you build on in the future? And what's going to be the best move for you right now?
What makes the most sense?
Yeah. Because we recognize not everybody has, just this, piggy
Stacks of
bank.
cash.
Yeah. It's just free flowing.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out how to make your money work best for you. And marketing is not advertising, and
No.
advertising is not marketing.
No.
They're very different things.
Yes.
Advertising is you are paying per click, per view, per
Right.
impression for X amount of time for your book to go, your whatever it is, your ad to go out to people.
You're getting display impressions. You're getting
Yes.
something, yeah, measurable.
Some type of measurable,
Mhm.
measurable
Measurable.
reaction. Whereas marketing is everything surrounding your book. I mean, how are you talking about your book,
Mhm.
the packaging of the book, the tagline,
Yeah.
all of that. It's
Promotional
the
aesthetic.
promotional, yes. It's the promotions that you're doing for your book. It's
What
you,
avenues are you exploring for getting the word out about it beyond that paper, whatever advertising, click, impression,
right?
display, etc.?
Which can include sending books out to promoters,
Mhm.
reviewers, influencers before the book releases to get advanced review copies. It can include you talking about it on social media, be it TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. It can be, asking people to share
Mhm.
your items. It can be putting it out in your newsletter, getting newsletter signups. I mean, marketing is in the book world
Yeah,
encompasses a variety of things.
for sure.
So,
Podcast appearances,
podcast appearances, yes,
speaking engagements. Not enough authors, I think, get out and try to do those sorts of things.
very true,
Yeah,
very
all
true.
sorts of opportunities.
And you also have to look at what is going to give you the most views, right? Like if your time is limited, you have to figure out where you
Yeah.
can best use your
Well,
time to make it the most effective.
you also need to know who your average reader is. What's your reader
Yes,
demographic? Because that'll help you identify how to use your time marketing to reach the most of those people
absolutely.
for your investment, whether it's a financial investment or an investment of time and energy, or
Right.
both, or all three, I should say.
If your average reader is 45 to 65,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be on TikTok every day.
Nope.
I
That
I
doesn't mean
mean,
don't try TikTok,
yeah,
but
that doesn't mean that. Yeah.
it means play with TikTok, but don't make it the primary focus. There are some mature readers on Book Talk. Do not get us wrong,
Yeah.
but are the majority of mature readers on TikTok? No, they are not.
No. So you play with that app and you
Yep,
try to reach a new audience
for sure.
by being on that app because, just because that's who your audience is now doesn't mean that that's who your audience is going to be in the future.
Right.
So, but
Well,
you
and
have to
also the folks who
also,
are in that audience now are eventually going to be in your audience someday. So
right,
make them aware of your books and your brand.
correct. But I wouldn't throw all of your eggs in that
Yeah.
basket if your current readership is of a different age range that is
Just
the
had this
majority on that app.
conversation with a client yesterday,
Did you?
actually. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just had this conversation yesterday.
But yeah, you have to know your reader. You
Yep.
have to know who are you marketing to.
Mhm.
And also, what are your books like? If your books are sweet and or historical mystery
Ooh,
where they have like tea and things like that, you should be leaning into that with your marketing.
yeah.
I mean, go on TikTok with a full tea set in front of
Yes.
you and start sipping tea. I mean, lean into it. Be your book anyway. You don't have to be that sort of,
Or
outlandish, but
take a friend to high tea and record it.
right. Exactly. You can do so many things. You can just show yourself pouring tea and talk about your book. Like there's levels, right? I went to the most extra, but you can do anything. My point is find something about your book and lean into it. But be mindful, please, of copyright infringement issues. You can't take, if you are writing a sports romance, you cannot take an image of a professional sports team and use your book language over top of it and push that out. That's copyright infringement.
Well, you can do that, but your video is going to be taken down by TikTok, and there may be legal penalties, including
I mean, you
fines
could do
and
anything.
all sorts of financial issues that you may run into as a result of doing that. But yeah,
You
just be
shouldn't do
aware.
that. You
Best
should.
practices.
Best practices.
Yeah.
Stay away from those types of things. It's only going to get you in trouble later.
Using someone else's brand to elevate your own without their express written permission is probably illegal.
Yeah. Like I literally laughed out loud. I know this is not book related, but it's TikTok related and this related. There was a
That makes
girl.
it book related,
Yeah.
okay?
There was a creator on TikTok who had she made shirts and sweatshirts and things like that, right? She had designs that she created.
Yeah.
She had this whole TikTok where she posted her design and then this other company's design that obviously had stolen her design, right?
Yeah.
And she was just complaining about that they had stolen her design here and here and here and here. So then I started looking at the designs and they were all Taylor Swift lyrics. And I was like, wait. So you're telling me that you stole Taylor Swift's lyrics and to profit off of her work, and now you're mad that someone stole your designs and is profiting off of your work. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
The
So,
audacity.
the audacity. People are like, you should sue. And I'm just like laughing. Like the court's gonna be like, yeah, no, you're telling on yourself. Like you can't there's no copyright that can be made
Yeah.
on other material that's already copyrighted. Oh, bless. Bless.
Side note, I keep seeing creators, makers, not necessarily like not book related stuff, right? But like people selling unlicensed merch like that, right?
Oh
Like
my God,
using
so
other people's
obnoxious.
art or logos or likenesses,
Yeah.
selling knockoff version of name brand products, like all of that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. It's just
You can't do it.
you're not supposed to
Sell
do it. Some people are
specific.
getting
Well,
away with it.
specifically though, selling. This is not legal advice, but selling copyrightable, like I'm sorry, selling selling trademarked material dupes, if you will,
Yes.
straight up dupes that you are trying to pass off as the original,
Yes.
that are literal counterfeit items,
Yes.
can get you sent to jail.
Yes.
Did no one watch Orange is the New Black? I mean, that is what she did. The one mom, like, she sold the jeans.
Yeah.
That's real. You can go to real jail for doing that. This is
Yeah.
not just like a fun online business.
Yeah.
Things
And
things not to
that's
do.
federal too. Like that's
Federal prison. Yes,
yeah,
ma'am. Mm-hmm.
which may or may not be better than state prison depending on where you're at, but
True enough. But still not a case you want to find yourself having to deal
no.
with. So
No.
please be careful about what you produce. And this actually goes to book creators who are
It
making
100%
things.
does. Think about
Yeah.
all the scandals that there have been about things related to
Yeah.
using the likeness of celebrity and other
Yeah.
infringement and intellectual property taking
And if
problems that
if
we have
you're
in this
right,
community.
and if you're taking book merch, if you're doing book merch,
Yeah.
which I love book merch,
Who doesn't?
right? And you're using a quote or something from an author's work, I hope you have that licensed.
Yeah.
Make sure that you get it licensed.
Yeah.
Authors are generally very willing to let you license their work
Yeah.
because it's extra advertising and promotion for them.
For sure.
They want that to be out there.
Now, with that said,
So,
if you're an author out there listening and you do not want makers and creators using your intellectual property by taking book quotes and character likenesses and churning out their own designs and profiting off of the things you've created, by all means, do what you need to do to protect yourself and your intellectual
yeah.
property. There's no one right or wrong way to handle this particular scenario.
Well, I think specifically right now there's a big question, or people have been talking about these the sprayed edges of books,
Yes,
right? Sprayed
so
edges,
popular right now.
so
So
popular,
hot right now.
so hot right now. So sprayed edges. I love how we've turned this into a legal conversation, but no, sprayed edges.
We've also touched on Taylor Swift. So
I
like
know, I
the
know.
door is open. It's
Here it
Friday. We're
is.
just running with it.
Sprayed edges are wonderful. So if you as a maker buy a book and spray the edges and or do some type of nondescript design
Hmm.
on the edges and then resell that book, that is completely legal, at least from my hypothetical scenario here that
Yes.
I'm stating. However, if you as the maker take that book and start putting lyric or not lyrics, but quotes from the book on the edges or silhouettes of people who are meant to be the people in the book,
Representative of the characters in the story.
some type of something representing the story, now you've crossed over the line into the
Using someone else's intellectual
yes,
property creatively to profit without a license,
correct.
which is usually illegal.
Correct. So if you are doing something like that, you have to be very careful as to what you are doing, lest you find yourself at the recipient end of a cease and desist, which I had heard was going on. That was something that had happened in the industry recently, and rightfully so, because the author is attempting to protect their own intellectual
For
property.
sure. But you've touched on something that I think we can use to get back to the idea of what it all costs,
Yeah.
which is these really pretty prints that have become so popular in the
Mm-hmm.
last, I don't know, what, 2 or 3 years. It started with like the discreet cover,
Yeah.
steamy romances. You see it all the time. You get a shirtless guy with a fabulous set of abs on him, like maybe with or without the heroine or his love interest if it's a male romance.
Yeah.
And that just screams this book is spicy, right? So enter the discreet cover, which is just an alternate cover to the original cover, right?
Yeah.
And this is to me this is more of a merchandising thing than anything else, right? You we've determined that you're in for what? Almost 3 grand at this point
Yeah.
on getting the book ready for publication
Absolutely.
and being ready to hit that publish button. And then you have all of these options for selling alternate cover copies,
Yeah.
alternate print copies, the
The alternate ebook, the alternate paperback, the
yep,
alternate hardcover. You
the
go the
full
foil.
sprayed edges, foil. I believe KDP now offers colored paper, like print
Yes.
on, colored pages that you can order through them. And I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
other printers are doing this too, but colored pages, so many ways to dress up the actual print versions of
Yeah.
the book.
And you have to remember though that these are tiny little things that eat into your margin. So
For sure.
the end user price is going to have to be higher, right,
Yeah.
for the consumer, which is fine, right? But you have to remember that when you're pricing out your titles
Hmm.
or you're doing a Kickstarter or you're doing whatever, you
Yeah.
have to remember that it's not going to be the regular
Right.
paperback
There's
price.
there is no way you can sell a foiled hardcover special edition
For 20 bucks.
for the same
Yeah.
price as your paperbacks,
Yeah.
your everyday bulk print run paperbacks
No, you're probably going to have to sell them
for
for,
double, maybe
yeah,
triple.
I was going to say maybe $60 in
Yeah,
order to
easily.
easy to make any sort of profit back on
Mhm.
that. Make them worthwhile for you to even do them.
Yeah. I was
But
just talking to somebody about the margins on their special edition hardbacks that they're working on now
yeah,
earlier this week. And uh, the cost to have those produced is probably in the 20 to 30, maybe even up to $35 range per unit.
right. And they have minimum orders.
Yeah.
So you can't just order one. This is not a
Right.
print on demand situation.
Right.
So if you're probably ordering 100, So now
easily.
that's 3,500 that you've purchased. So you need to
Yeah.
make your money back on that
Yeah.
pretty quickly.
Yes.
And your margin should be at least 40%, because you also have to remember you have to calculate in taxes. You have
Hmm.
to calculate, you know, other factors.
For sure.
Or what are you putting that in? Are you selling it at a book signing event where you're just going to hand it to the consumer? Do you have to mail it out? So you need shipping materials and boxes,
Right.
or
Is it part of a Kickstarter and you don't even know how much money you're making until you're fully funded and
right?
the Kickstarter campaign has closed? Like, is it a book box? Or, it's just so many factors that you have to consider when you're
Yep,
doing the math on that and deciding what to charge.
absolutely.
And it's a significant investment up front. So if you're planning on doing anything like that, you can add easily a few thousand up to several $1,000s for these special edition features, because
Right.
you got to go back and have the covers redesigned too, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're special edition.
They had to be a special edition. So now we're back to the beginning of the cover
Right.
design.
You're probably not going to foil that stock photo you bought for the original cover design.
Probably not.
I mean, I
Probably
guess
not.
you could, but
And honestly, that would be sort of interesting to see. But
right.
yeah. There's a lot of cost to this industry. There's a lot of cost. You can, though, also make a lot of money
For sure.
in this industry.
For sure.
So just because you paid for all of these special editions and things like that, I'm being told that they are selling really, really well at book
Yes.
signing events.
They seem to be in very high demand, at least in the events. And
Yeah.
some authors are doing very well selling them direct
Yeah.
too.
On their websites and things like that, or
Mhm.
TikTok shop,
Part of
etc.
Patreon and Ream subscriptions and things like
Right.
that, Discord servers, all of the things that are available.
So that you need to think about it and think about where you're going to be selling these things,
Hmm.
and make sure that there is an audience for what you're selling before
Yep.
you start investing $3,500 in, you know.
Well, and also consider where are you at in your brand too? Would it be better to use that $3,500 for some advertising instead of investing in an alternate cover to merchandise the book edition?
It
Beyond
might
the
it
original
might be,
version.
it might not be. It really
Right.
depends, right? And so
Yeah.
that's something that you have to really decide
Yep.
where to best use your funds.
For sure.
So,
And you will need some funds because it's unfortunately not cheap to. You can do this cheaply, but
yes.
the chances of success, because frankly, you're not supposed to judge books by the cover, but people do,
People
and
do.
it's just a
This is a
fact of
very
marketing them.
saturated industry now. It's very
100%.
saturated. So, in
100%.
order to make yourself stand out in this industry, you have to do it in a way that almost makes you blend in. I know that sounds weird, but you have to do it in a way that makes it look like you've been here a long time already,
Yes.
that you
It
are
ha-
already established, that they can trust you and your brand. And if
you
they
need
see,
polish.
right, if they see something unpolished, if your book is unpolished, you're going to get crucified for it in the reviews. And reviews are for readers. That is what people do to find, a lot of people, to find their next book. They go and look at
Yeah.
the reviews. So, all things to think about in this wonderful industry. So,
Yes.
all righty. Well, thank you all for coming to listen to
Yes.
Veronica and I's TED Talk on what is the publishing industry cost right now to be indie,
Among other things.
among other things. And I love that we threw Taylor in this time because we didn't recently.
There has been a dearth of Taylor references the last couple of episodes,
I
so
know. So,
finally get back to that. And then what is it, Pro Bowl weekend? The Super Bowl's next weekend, right?
yeah.
Go Taylor's boyfriend, I guess.
I think when this drops, actually, the Super Bowl will be happening this
Perfect.
weekend. So
Go,
go
go
Taylor's
Taylor's
boyfriend.
boyfriend.
All right. Till next time.